I'm James Eade at the Eade Foundation, but you can call me Jim. The Eade Foundation is dedicated to building communities through chess. And if you're part of a community, you're never alone. And now I do have a new sponsor. You can see that I'm scrolling across the bottom of my screen is the YouTube channel. Search for Eade Foundation. And please subscribe to the Eade Foundation video channel on YouTube by all means. But I do have another sponsor, and I'm going to change that now to show you that sponsor. Because this is the dollar store where you can buy quality products at inexpensive prices. And if you use the discount code CHESS, they will know that you're coming from the chess community. So if we can connect the chess community with the business community, we can all do better for what we primarily want to do, which is include people in the chess community. So the better we can arrange these combinations with businesses, the better we can do. So I encourage you to go to this URL, to the FBDS dollar store, and use the discount code CHESS, and you will get quality products. I have been a customer for quite some time, and I'm going to share you the screen just for a little bit so that you can see that this is what you will see when you get there. And I'm going to make it a little bigger. And, you know, if you're really into, say, beauty products, like I am, you can click on beauty and you will find all sorts of beauty products. So it really doesn't matter what you really are looking for, because this is something that you can find just about anything. And I want to emphasize they are quality products at inexpensive prices. Now I'm going to stop sharing this screen and I'm going to introduce you to the chess files. The answers are out there. And today's question, which we need to answer, is what does it mean and how do you become the Dean of Scholastic Chess? And I have my guest. I'm going to bring him on right now, Dewain Barber. Dewain, so good to see you again.
Good morning, sir. Or should I say good morning, young fellow?
Yeah, I love that. Old dogs love to be called young. But I wanted you to tell us, what is the title Dean? And I should share this screen because people say, what do you mean the Dean of Scholastic Chess? And there you are on the cover of Chess Life. Dewain Barber, Dean of Scholastic Chess. So I'm not making that up. I'm not the one who's calling you that. Everyone knows you now as the Dean of Scholastic Chess. How and why did that happen?
That's a fascinating story. And the whole story begins at the age of 9 when I learned chess from my brother. But moving forward, a couple of years ago, I'm sitting in the delegates meeting, and I'm just not paying that much attention to the delegate motions because it's Sunday afternoon. Everybody's tired. We've already put in 2 days of effort and energy, and they had a big screen up, and I just glanced at the screen, and I noticed that this motion was on the floor, and it had a whole bunch of sponsors, and I didn't have a copy of what the motion was. For whatever reason, they had published it, so I didn't pay much attention to it. I'm just sitting there. All of a sudden, one of the guys gets up and says, Mr. President, I'd like to introduce a delegate motion. And I'd say, okay, well, I've had thousands of delegate motions because I've been a delegate for a long time. And then he says, I would like to introduce and request that the delegates and the executive board approve the following, that Dewain Barber is identified as the Dean of Scholastic Chess. And I thought, hold it. Back up here. You forgot to tell me about this. I'm not the one that knows what you're doing right now. And I really kind of like to know or whatever. And so a number of speakers got up, well-known names that I could cite, but let's, for brevity, avoid that. But they got up and they started to describe me. And I thought, whoa, that's an interesting guy. Now hold it, me? And so at that point, the parliamentarian stood up and said, I move that we vote by acclamation. There have only been, to my knowledge, since I've been involved in the 1970s to the present, A use of a vote by acclamation by the delegates has only occurred 3 times before, and it had to do with creations of national events. And I guess I was a national event.
There you go.
Anyway, they voted. Everybody held up their badge, and I'm sitting here in total shock. And then they all stood up and began to clap, and I didn't know what to do. I frankly didn't know what to do.
Dewain Barber was speechless.
And I figured, well, maybe I ought to stand up too. And they motioned me to the microphone. I thanked everybody, and I appreciated what they had said. And then when the delegates meeting was over with and I had become the Dean of Scholastic Chess, then at that point, I went up to one of the most long-served gentlemen, Al Lawrence.
Yes.
Al Lawrence has a history which goes back into the Middle Ages, I think. Don't tell him that. But yes. So I looked at him and I said, Al, what does a Dean of Scholastic Chess do? Because I needed to know my job description. If you don't have a job description, how do you know what to do?
Right.
And Al looked at me in very kind and gentle way. And Al is a nice guy, really. He looked at me and he says, the next time you have a chance to, go and look in the mirror. And the guy you see in the mirror is the one who knows. And I started to get emotional.
Yeah.
And I realized that I'd been doing so many things and wanting to continue to do those things and supporting Scholastic Chess, that was what it was about. And so my career has not been creating grandmasters or running world events or whatever. My career has been focused on a kid who wants to learn about chess, the game. And that's what people don't realize, is that every person, when they start out about their chess life story, will always tell you, at least almost always tell you, I started chess out when I was 10 years old, when I was 6 years old. And they will remember that scholastic community involvement. I'm not saying that grandma at age 84, like Elizabeth, who's in Canada right now, that I met on a cruise ship, and she said to me, she says, will you teach me chess? And I said, I'll be happy to teach you chess. And then I thought, hold it, this is an elder lady. So I asked the obvious question, excuse me, Elizabeth, but why did you want to learn chess? To teach your granddaughter or whatever? And she looked at me and she says, no, I'm a member of the Rotary International, and we travel around the world. And I just wanted to play. They have a Rotary chess club, and I just wanted to play and beat the guys. And I said, okay, I still have her as a student. And when we get back on the cruise ship, I know she's going to be out there somewhere waiting for the next Rotary meeting, and some guy's going to walk up and be foolish, and she's going to say, I know a lot more than you know.
Well, Dewain, I've got to back up a little bit, because not all of our viewers, hi Mom, know that this is the journal of the United States Chess Federation, Chess Life. That's the journal. And the organization itself is the national governing organization for chess in the United States. And we have an annual meeting where the delegates go to, and the delegates are from every state. Every state is represented. And so all of these people, there is also an executive board, but with all this complicated governance structure, they were unanimous in voting you to be the Dean of Chess. So this is not something that was just a little, you live in Southern California. It wasn't an award from Southern California. It was an award that everybody from all across the country participated in, and probably gave you a standing O at the end. So this is not an insignificant title. I know that George Koltanowski was the Dean of Chess for a while, and I think Grandmaster Denker was as well. But the Dean of Scholastic Chess goes to the heart of what your whole mission in chess has been, scholastic. So the scholastic orientation. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. I want to clarify because there have been 4 Deans of American Chess recognized by the organization. So this title that I received is not Dean of American Chess. It's specifically focused on scholastic chess and
Right.
kids. And so it's been quite an amazing adventure and travel that I have had that brought me to this point a couple of years ago when they decided to honor me. I actually am a retired school teacher. I taught 30 years. I call it teaching in the combat zone because my
Yeah.
kids were 7th and 8th graders that I was teaching. And that's a strange, unusual group, to say the least. And I had started a club, and it eventually morphed into a chess club. And as I began to go along, the kids would come in at lunch, sometimes before school, and like a typical school chess club, they want to play. And so we had a chance to take them to tournaments or whatever. We had one kid who came late to my class, and I said, "You know, you're going to have to come in and make up your time. You have a detention with me during the break in the morning, and you can choose break or lunch." He said, "I'm going to choose lunch." So he showed up for and his time was going to be 10 minutes. And so I gave him an assignment, which was write down 10 ways that you have to be responsible. That's hard for kids, surprisingly. So this young man's writing it down. And then I noticed all of my students in the room who were playing chess did this. And I thought, I wonder why they're doing that. Oh, well, whatever. And I told the young man who had committed his crime and he was doing his time, I said to him, I says, "Oh, by the way, I just wanted to tell you that during lunch hour, I usually like to practice my Italian opera. And so since you're here, you'll be able to listen to me." Oh, sole mio. And this poor kid is going crazy. And you should be surprised at how fast his pencil just moved across the page. And here's the 10 answers. And I said, okay. And so my students know that if somebody is serving their time because of their crime, then they can expect a little action to happen. So a school chess club. And I hosted that for 28 years.
Well, I committed the cardinal sin of interviewers, and I didn't ask you where are you from and where do you live now?
Well, that's a tough one. Having been born in Virginia, my father was in the military. We traveled around. I lived on the island of Guam. I know that's a little bit far out.
Yeah.
And we lived in everywhere from Oklahoma to Minnesota. And it was not uncommon to come home after a couple of years. And my father says, "Well, I've been assigned. We're moving." And so that's what happened. My eventual stopping point was in Glendale, Arizona. I finished my undergraduate programs and I moved up to Northern Arizona University. And I got my teaching job that some California recruiters came over from Buena Park Elementary School District, hired me on, and we moved to California, and we've lived in the city of Anaheim for over 50 years. So
Wow.
we are Mouse House people. I'm sorry, I had to say that, but
you had it must be quite to settle down, set in roots after your childhood experience of bouncing around. It must have.
And so we've always lived here, and we retired. My wife served. I'm sorry. She was a teacher for 38 years. So we certainly have,
Yeah.
put a lot of time in with kids, and it's been enjoyable. And chess was an opportunity to promote that and sponsor the activities that I've had a chance to sponsor.
Dewain, I've got another thing to tell you. This is the impression I first got. I got involved in the United States governance structures in the 90s. So you were well established by then. But I remember the impression you made on me was you were the guy asking the tough questions, both at trust meetings and at USCF delegates meetings. You were asking tough questions. So you were someone that I paid attention to and they were usually financial questions. Like, you said the money was going there. Did it go there? Something along those lines. Do you remember those days when you were grilling people to find out, you said the money's going here. Did it go there? Is that an accurate portrayal of you? Because that's my memory, my distant memory of you in the 90s.
My goal has always been to make certain that if we are going to promote scholastic chess within the United States, that we do that to the best of our ability in thinking about providing scholarships or financial support for expenses that a young person might occur, whether that's traveling to a World Youth Championship or whether that happens to be getting in a car. And, the cost of going from, let's say, Anaheim to Dallas to play in a national junior high school championship. I was there at many of those junior high school championships and also the high school. And there was, everybody was from everywhere. It was amazing. It was a mixture of thousands of kids who showed up. And when I was hosting an event which they decided to put my name on, called the Barber Tournament of Middle School Champions, I had encouraged all the kids. Now, sidebar here, I encouraged all the kids who were playing, and that was one kid per state. I encouraged all those kids to do one thing that to me was very important. If you remember in the Olympics, what happens after most of the activities have occurred, a team member will take their jersey off and give it to their opponent. And so you can collect pins and jerseys and all kinds of other things. And I thought, hold it, if they can do it in the Olympic, why can't we do it here? And so I encouraged all of my participants, when I wrote to them, I said, now you're going to represent New Mexico and Virginia, and you're going to represent Montana and Alaska. And I said, if you're going to do that now, I want you to bring a little souvenir, a little gift that you can give to each of your opponents. So when they go home, they have 6 gifts from 6 different states they can show their friend. And so the kids were doing this. It was really a wonderful experience. And then one of the moms comes up and she says, I want to thank you very much for encouraging the little souvenirs or whatever. And I'd like to give you one of my son's souvenirs that he's giving out to all of his participants. And I said, where are you from? And she says, I'm from Georgia. I said, oh, okay, that's nice. So you go ahead and show me the souvenir. I certainly appreciate that. She reached in her bag and pulled out a Georgia peach and handed it to me.
Yeah.
No.
Yes. Yeah.
No. And the next year I wrote no food. But here I am holding this Georgia peach, and you got to thank her. Yes, ma'am, I got to thank you. And I want to tell you, if I can, about a young man. He came up and I said, where are you from? And he said, I'm from Mississippi. The tournament that year was being hosted in Vancouver, Washington. And his parents had told me before that they had driven straight through from their Mississippi address to Vancouver, Washington, in order that their son could play. And he walked up and he handed me a pin. And all the pin said was Mississippi. It didn't say city. It didn't say anything special. It just said Mississippi. And if there is anybody out there who sees me at some time and I've got my jacket on, you will see that pin will be on my jacket. And it's there for a reason. It's to recognize that these young people have put a lot of effort and energy into the task of becoming the champion of their state and then going on and competing at that invitational. And you can't get in unless your state nominates you. I don't care if you're an expert grandmaster, whatever. The state has to nominate you, and you have to show them that you are the player that will represent that state. So, very interesting story.
It's quite an honor. And, that brings me to another subject. I first remember the tournament that I associated with you so much was the Denker. and that was for High Scholl Champions. And, you know, Grandmaster Arnold Denker, I don't know if you know this book, Bobby Fish, I knew, but I published that book so I worked with, he insisted I call him Arnie, and I worked with Arnie for quite a while, and his stories were tremendous. But he was instrumental in also starting this tournament for High Scholl Champions. But Arnie was kind of an idea guy and would maybe give some money to support it. But you were the guy making it happen. Am I not correct about it? I associate you with the tournament.
37 years ago, if somebody had said to me that I deserved a phone call from a grandmaster, two-time United States champion, I would have said, I don't believe I'm the person you want to call. There are a bunch of other people. But on a Wednesday night, and I can remember this so clearly, the phone rang and I picked it up and it said, "This is Grandmaster Arnold Denker. Can I speak to Dewain?" And I thought, why in the world would a grandmaster want to talk to a basic chess coach at a school who's helped organize and been part of the National Junior High School Championship and other scholastic things? And he said to me, he said, "I have an idea. I want to bring one student from each state and play in an invitational tournament so that they have an opportunity to meet each other and to build the state championships of those events."
Yes.
I have never referred to him as Arnold, nor will I ever do that. It will always be Grandmaster Denker. And I said, "What?" Well, then I said, "When do you want to host this?" And he said, and he kept saying these words. You have to understand how challenged I am. "Well, you can decide that." "No, Mr. Denker, that's something we've got to work on." And then he said, "Well, I'll tell you what, let's host it at the US Open." And I thought, oh, no, Mr. Denker, we don't want to go. There's a bunch of old people there. And all they want to do is play chess, and they don't want no high school kids showing up and acting like they know something about chess. And I'm thinking all this is going through my mind. And he said, "You take care of the scholastic people. I'll take care of these adult organizers," or whatever. And so I said, "Well, okay, maybe we can work that out." And so we went to the delegates meeting, and he was first to speak on the motion. And it was to create a high school national invitational tournament. And so Grandmaster Denker gets up to the microphone, and I was second. I'm second in line. I'm still seated. I know exactly where I sat in that room when that happened. And he got up and he looked at everybody. He just kind of turned his head around and whatever. And then he said the words, "The motion before you, this is good for chess." End of sentence. He walked back and sat down. And I'm thinking, how in the world do I follow that?
Mm-hmm.
1984, how can I possibly follow that? And I thought, okay, you can't linger on. So I got up to the microphone. I said, "Yes, the scholastic community likes the idea and we think it'll work out." Last year, the first time ever, a grandmaster played in the Denker, and that GM, Nico Teka from New York, that GM is the first GM to play. But the field of the Denker now is 50% masters. You can't get in there without having a little bit of credibility. And they come to play, and the excitement and enjoyment. And it's been my pleasure to be able to assist in hosting that. I'd like to show you the new Denker medallion. My apologies, but I do have to do this.
That is a wonderful portrait of him.
This is the Arnold Denker medallion, which will be put around the neck of this year's champions. I decided way back early that every kid who played in the Denker and now the other events that are part of the Invitational will receive a medallion. And this medallion is not your simple, cheap, skinny thing. but this medallion has the weight of the Olympic medallion, and it has the beauty and art of all of that. And when I saw the Olympics do that, I said, I want to do that. And so I created the medallion idea, and it has gone forward into the other events, the Barber Tournament of Middle School. It was also used in the Polgar Tournament of Girls Champions, as well as the most recent edition, which is the John D. Rockefeller Tournament of Elementary Champions. So that medallion is
for doing that.
keepsake.
Yeah, that's a wonderful prize, something that they will cherish, I believe, almost to a person. That's such a commemorative item that you can always point to, and I think it'll bring smiles on people's faces for years to come. Looking back at it, it's a tangible indication of their accomplishment, because it is an accomplishment, as you pointed out. To represent your state is impressive. To be a player strong enough to represent your state takes commitment. So these are the things that you have been supporting for decades now, Dewain, and so it's a tip of my cap to you. I want to change the subject to, I know that you've recently come out, or I'm not so sure how recently, but you've published a book. And I wanted to bring up the book, oh, wait a minute. Oh, sorry.
Hold it. Let me, whoa, hold it. There we go.
Yeah. Humor in chess. So it's not all serious. It's not all work. It's sometimes we can have fun playing chess, fun knowing other chess players. And so you and Ralph Bowman have collected a compendium of humor in chess. And so I do want people to rush out and buy a copy. And if you're lucky, like I am, you might actually get an autographed copy. So just show up to one of these great Scholastic national events and you will meet Dewain Barber in person. And Dewain, is there anything else you want to tell me about your book, your service in the chess Scholastic community? Anything else before we have to close this show? It's yours.
Well, I do have to thank U.S. Chess, our national organization, but I also want to thank the Chess Trust. The Chess Trust stepped up very early and said, yes, we will be a part of what you're doing with regard to the Denker tournament. And that was also true regarding the tournament that the Denker tournament was high school only, and I kept getting calls from people. Well, my 8th grader is the best in the state of Idaho, so why can't he play in the Denker? And I said, I'm sorry, ma'am, but Grandmaster Denker says that's strictly for grades 9 to 12. And so after a few years, I thought, we got to change this. So I created, as a motion, a K-8 invitational. So that 8th grader, even the 5th grader maybe, could play. So here we go. And it gets voted on, and everybody likes the idea. And then I'm sitting down after speaking about it, and I said, this is a Denker, actually with a Denker clone, but don't tell anybody. Mm-hmm. Everything was identical. Yeah. I've always cloned it.
If it works, we'll fix it.
And so they sat down. I sat down, and all of a sudden, from the back of the room on my left, I hear this voice, motion to amend. Hold it. There's nothing to amend. I've done my homework. The teacher did his homework. Mm-hmm. And so a guy named David Kuntz from Minnesota.
I know David.
Up, and David says, I wish to amend the title of the event to be the Dewain Barber Tournament of K-8 Champions. And I was literally overwhelmed by that action that was taken 12 years ago. And I greatly, certainly appreciate that which was done. And I wrote the original Denker regs, and all I did was take the Denker regs and remove Arnold Denker's name, and
fix it. Yeah.
I put in my name. And when we created the girls event, I did the same thing. When we created the senior event, I did the same thing. So it's been wonderful. I wanted to show you one other thing, if I may, just before we leave. I have always believed that we have ways of recognizing young people that can last, and certainly a trophy or a plaque or a medallion is part of that. But I've also given away almost, well, over 3,000 golden queens, and I'd like to show you one of them, if I may.
Of course.
This is my golden, put it over here. This is we get it. This is fun. I like it. This is the golden queen. Nobody, I use that word seriously. Nobody in the United States sells this, because I have told every person, I'm going to send you a bunch of these. You give them away. They can never be sold. And this is in recognition for your service to chess. And that includes the parent who sets up the chessboard. That includes the kid that helps a couple other kids play. And you think, hold it, well, aren't you going to recognize that kid who won first, second, and third? And I said, they've been recognized by getting a trophy.
Right.
But who hasn't been recognized is that parent. And I'll leave with a final comment. As you know, there was a movie that came out, The Queen of Katwe.
Yes.
This was a couple of years ago.
Yes.
I took over 300 of these with me, and I set them up on a table. And when everybody walked out of that film, I handed one of these to every single person who was in that theater. And I said, thank you very much for being here and understanding that our goal is to make chess become something that you can play. I've traveled to 126 countries in the world. I've played chess in probably 50 of those. Each one is an amazing story, whether it was Easter Island or Cambodia, whether it was South Africa, wherever it happened to be. Chess is out there. And you know what? I don't have to speak Swahili.
No, it's a universal language.
I speak chess.
Yeah.
And everybody understands it.
Yep.
Even when I played on the plains there in Kenya, in the Serengeti, I played chess right there. They set up a table and you could see the background. Welcome to if you wish, go to barberchess.com. There's a little page there called the Chess Traveler.
Uh-huh.
And that has the stories of many of the places that I've been to.
What was the URL again? Chess Barber? What was it? I didn't catch
it. Barberchess.com.
Barberchess.com.
And the location on the right navigation is something called the Chess Traveler, Travelor. And there are about 15 stories. And the very first one will be heart-wrenching to you, as it was to me, because Mises, my opponent, was in a wheelchair and he had very little ability or controlling his body because it had deteriorated because of his medical condition. And when he answered to me, or when I answered by moving or touching a piece, and the only answer I got from him was, or, and that was how he communicated in chess. Read the story about Mises.
That's wonderful.
You will find it absolutely fascinating. I hope one day to go back to Rotterdam and to play another game of chess with that young man. He was excited. It was wonderful.
I wouldn't bet against you, but I do want to, before I say goodbye to you, Dewain, I do want to bring up one guy. Do you recognize that guy? There's a random photo bomber in there, but you know who the other one is? This guy?
Well, there's Alfonso. No.
Yeah, something like that. Starts out
Al, you.
Yeah, Al Lawrence. And I can't remember the year. Just my memory is going on me, but maybe it was about 10 years ago. But Al Lawrence was the managing director of the U.S. Chess Trust, and you mentioned that earlier, how important it was for the Denker, and he also how he told you how to be the Dean of Scholastic Chess. A wonderful story. And thank you so much for joining me today and telling us what it means to be the Dean of Scholastic Chess.
My pleasure, and I am excited about the upcoming year. I think we have a lot of actions and things that we will be able to engage in, and we will once again invite young people to play in our invitationals and to play in our future national championships, and I'm excited with that. That's certainly what will be part of our lives. So
I'm going to take you backstage now, Dewain, but tip of the hat to you. Congratulations on all you've done, and I look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you, sir.
Goodbye. All right, so this has been the Chess Files. The answers are out there, and it has been my pleasure to have Dewain Barber, a tremendous community contributor to the chess community. And we will be on 1 p.m. Eastern Time every Friday. The EAD Foundation is dedicated to building communities through chess. And if you're part of a community, you're never alone. So please support the EAD Foundation, because what we do is provide chess sets, equipment to people who can't afford it. So if you have resources and others do not, why not share? Why wouldn't you? So the EAD Foundation does need money in order to keep going and keep sending. Right now we're in South Africa, Zambia, Uganda, and Nicaragua, and in the United States from Virginia to San Francisco. But we can't keep doing it without your support. So please go to the YouTube channel, EAD Foundation, and become a subscriber. That'll help us. Or go down to the dollar store, go online and shop online. You get quality products at inexpensive prices, and they're shipped right to your door. You don't have to go shopping. I don't know if you like shopping, but I'm not so keen on it. I'd like to open my door and pick up the things that I've ordered. So please join us next week, and you'll be surprised that the answers are out there.